2. What's going on? Listen, I'm actually really like eager for us to do this live. We live
Okay.
on YouTube for the first
All right.
time.
What's up, YouTubes?
Yes, say hello to the folks. I'm gonna see if we can um see the live people on YouTube so I can share this with the folks on Instagram. Did you say you were gonna share this with people on your Instagram?
I am going to make the attempt. I don't know if I can do it,
Okay. We're
so I
gonna
have to give
see.
it a shot.
Oh, I can see it says how to use data to track your podcast success. So if y'all are tuning in on the replay, that's what we're getting ready to have a conversation about. So what I'm gonna do is take this link here. I'm gonna share it to my folks on IG, and I'm gonna invite them to join me. Let's do this. So Ali, what's going on? How's
Yo,
your week been?
been busy. Been busy. Back from overseas. Back in the swing of things. Slowly but surely, but it's been good. What about you?
Listen, you already know roller coasters over here, just like following these numbers, tracking the success of these like different episode numbers. So that plus I got a whole new offer for the podcast machine. Dun, dun,
Okay. Okay.
dun.
All
First
right.
time I've ever talking about that, but we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into this conversation. So
Bet.
those of you
Bet.
guys who are here watching us on the replay, I'm still twiddling with my phone so I can bring some folks into the room. But Ali and I are gonna have a conversation about tracking your podcast on YouTube or an audio cast, because I know there's a difference among the podcast community, and we can talk a little bit about our journey with tracking our numbers. So I'm gonna try not to be distracted for too long. I'm gonna say join now. You know, we got to be specific for the Instagrammers so they know that it's a button. So I'm gonna say click this thing right here. Click it. All right. There we go. Join now. That should be good, right?
I don't see why not.
All right. So,
All right.
um, so Ali,
Mm-hmm.
we came here
Yep.
to do a job. So we're gonna do the
Is that right?
job. Yes, we're
Okay.
gonna do the job well.
Okay.
First of all, I think we should introduce ourselves. The fact that we just did our meeting earlier today gives us real good clarity on how do we introduce ourselves these days.
Yeah.
Um, I'll start, and then you can join in, and then we can talk about why we're here today. So for those of you guys who are just joining, you haven't seen my face and you haven't seen Ali's face. I'm Ariel Young, formerly known as your career coach. But as I've gone through my own journey, I recognize when I look at my life from a 50,000 foot view, I really left corporate America to become a podcaster. In all intents and purposes, I even took a lot of the lessons that I knew in my last job with me in this new role, quote unquote. And we'll talk about what that actually means a little later because I got a funny story I want to share with y'all. But Ali, take it away.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Oliver Perry, as known as where is it? Where is it? Right here. Here you go. The Oliver Perry on IG. You can find me at Oliver Perry Show on YouTube. I am a clearly a YouTuber. I am a podcaster, technically as well. Army officer, father, and real estate investor is pretty big on for me. So I am. I've got a show called the Oliver Perry Show where I'm taking people on the adventure as I'm finding my way from 0 to 625 doors, units, whatever you want to call it, in the multifamily world. So on my channel, you'll see things like the podcast, which is the Oliver Perry Show podcast. You'll see stuff like me going through the day-to-day routine of figuring out how to get to 625 doors through multifamily real estate. And then you'll also see some fun skits as well on the shorts and the reels and things like that. So that's who I am. And thank you guys for tuning in.
I love it. So buttoned up. Guys, if you haven't met Oliver Perry, then you got to know that he is a force to be reckoned with. Love his personality. Makes me laugh every single time we actually meet. And it's good when we're talking about data. And so honestly, I probably would have dreaded having this conversation about data because I thought, one of the things that I have a conversation with my coachees or my mentees, just in them leaving their job, is knowing your numbers. Like you got to know your numbers if you want to quit your job. You got to know how much money you're making, how much money you want to make, how much money is your business making, how are you tracking that, what are the revenue generating activities, all of the things. And the same actually applies in podcasting. So not only just podcasting, but in YouTube. So I said I was going to share a funny story. I want to preface this with the fact that I used to work in data analytics in my
Oh
corporate
god.
job.
Oh god. Anytime you preface a story first, it's already trouble. But go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna test my storytelling skills. So I have been running away from data analytics, even though that's how my mind works for the longest. But when it comes, honestly, knowing your numbers is important, even with content creation, because one day I was posting something. I posted something on social media, and Ali dropped in the DM and said, I can't even remember what you specifically said, but you said, how are your numbers with X, Y, and Z?
Mhm.
And I said, oh, somebody else who talks data. Because in the entrepreneurial world, first of all, knowing your numbers, even in content creation, is like foreign. But then also being able to talk to people about what statistic they're following was just like not actually heard of. So when
Right.
you dropped in my DM and you were like, whatever you asked me about in terms of the data, I got so excited. And that literally is what started the whole friendship.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. No, I mean that's data's important, man. Like, no matter what level you're at, there is something in there that you can figure out from what you're learning or from what you're putting out there. And I don't think we pay attention enough to it, just as entrepreneurs, because it's tough, right? You're trying to do all the things you're doing. On top of that, you're attempting to execute with getting the numbers just right. Oh, I want to tip
Right.
to the right people. I want to do, have this impact, whatever, whatever. And it's great. But if you don't know the numbers or what's going on or where you might be missing the mark, as we'll get into here soon, because I'm definitely missing the
Mhm.
mark on a few things. But you'll never figure it out. If you're not looking at numbers, you just won't know. So yeah, numbers
Yeah.
is important, man. Man,
I
important.
think you touched on something that's really, really important, which is the fact that I'm teetering between this two where I know you've heard do it ugly, right?
Yep.
So it's like between doing the ugly and knowing all the data, all the things that you need to do to make sure the data is right. I think that what I want to give a disclaimer to in this conversation, Ali and I have been tracking our numbers almost every single week for about a year and some change, I want to say. And it's once we go through these different metrics that we actually walk through. Was I wrong?
No. You good? I almost spilled my drink on my
Oh,
computer.
listen,
I panicked.
death by water. We don't need that. We don't. We
Mm-mm.
don't
No,
need
we do
that.
not. Yikes.
Um. So as we go through these different metrics that we track, I don't want if you're starting your podcast, if you're starting a YouTube channel, I don't want you to be like, oh, I gotta have all this stuff figured out before I launch my first piece of content because when you don't have anything to measure, then you're basically holding yourself up from just getting that activity out there. I wouldn't say go for a whole year just putting out just random stuff. Now, Ali and I both know what that's like too, but we wouldn't suggest. I wouldn't suggest you go out there and do it. I would suggest you just get started, and then once you have about 10 or so videos on your channel or 10 or so pieces of content, that you go back and look at the numbers and you say, what was working, what didn't work, and what should I do again?
Right.
So, with that being said, Ali, I
Yeah.
think we should start the conversation with really what numbers we check.
All
So,
right.
if you would talk to the folks, I don't even remember how we started our accountability conversation. So if you would start to with the folks introducing your journey in data
Okay.
analytics, that might
Okay.
actually even give me some context around why you were so stoked to jump in my DM that day about data analytics.
All right. So my journey starts with the creation of the Oliver Perry Show. So originally I started the podcast about I want to say almost a year ago now. And I just started recording episodes. I recorded, put it out. 9 months ago, I got the 11 months ago, I got the notification, hey, we're going to deploy you. So at that point, I had grown to YouTube from 0 to about, I want to say 100 some odd subscribers. And just in that time, and I wasn't doing anything outside of just recording the video and putting it out at the time. Matter of fact, I did promote a few times, but not nearly as enough. But
Mhm.
deployment, I knew I was screwed. So I was like, all right, well, I gotta record a bunch. So I recorded a year's worth of videos and YouTube podcasts, YouTube's. I'll call it video cast now. But I recorded over 80 something video casts for the rest of the year. So it takes me all the way until this coming year, 2023. So the biggest thing for me is because I can't actually, I couldn't figure out what I was doing. I had to start figuring out the analytics. Like I had to start going into the system to at least look to see what was working, what wasn't working, what was working for others, what wasn't working for others, and where I can kind of adjust and, excuse me, evolve to. And that's where we are now. Channel now has 356 subscribers, which is great for somebody who started at zero earlier in the year, but there's still more to do. And you'll see by my analytics, like there's a lot of things that I'm missing. I'm not
Mhm.
getting a lot of views. I'm not getting a lot of traction there, but there's a few reasons behind that that I've discovered. And now I'm just adjusting and altering as I go along. And we'll talk more about that here shortly. But that's the main reason why I got into the data analytics part, because I wanted the channel to grow. I want to be able to reach more people and help more people, particularly in the military and particularly who are doing multifamily now, to get to where they want to go through watching me figure it out as I'm going along. Maybe help them not make those same mistakes.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that I wanted to just touch on is, people are so gung ho to try to get the 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 hour watch
Yeah.
time, but getting to that 100 subscriber mark, that's a milestone because it's like most people on YouTube have like 5 followers or
Yeah.
subscribers, and so
Yeah.
getting your podcast to just even that 100 is like the first big hump of like YouTube numbers at the very least.
Yeah.
There's another thing that I don't think I knew this, and that you intentionally recorded so many podcasts like a year in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you were being deployed. But
Yeah.
what both of us found ourselves doing is having like, well, for Ali is a year's worth of content, but for me it was like at least 9 months worth of podcast content that I would even say it felt like it was hard for me to pivot when we
Right.
looked at the numbers because we had so much content to release before we could actually make a pivot. So I figured we should start there. What was the
Okay.
challenge, the challenge or the benefit of you like having so much content ahead of time, and then how do you feel like you were able to make adjustments based on your data as we were looking at it week over week?
Right. So the challenge of me having that many ahead was that I didn't really have, like, I can't adjust in real time, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So if you're doing episode by episode by episode, every time you do an episode, you can go back and watch it and you can adjust for the next one. But
Mhm.
because I recorded a year in advance, there is no true full evolution there, because I wasn't going back and looking at anything. I was recording, I was cranking them out. Right now, there is, of course, a monicum of evolution in there because I did so many. I'm inherently evolve, I'm inherently get improve and get better. So my transitions were a little bit better. I started understanding how to go from topic to topic. I understood how to kind of work my backline productions through my stream deck. All that stuff was doing well. The good thing about it is I was so far ahead, and even now I'm still a month and a half out of being falling behind. Now I'm recording into 2023 now, and I'm like 4 or 5 episodes into that season. But
Mhm.
at the same time, now I know the lessons from the whole year, and I'm slowly applying those and fixing it and adjusting and altering. And then, of course, the difficulty with being deployed is the internet there was lackluster. So I couldn't do a lot of marketing or promoting. So even though the video cast didn't stop existing for everyone on Facebook and IG, the Oliver Perry kind of vanished. But
Mm.
because of the deployment, like, it is what it is. Um, you know, all enemies foreign and domestic. I got to do fight the good fight. So I couldn't add that stuff in there. So now that I'm back and I'm going back through my stuff, and like I said, we'll see in the analytics here shortly. I
Mhm.
know, okay, I've got to start promoting on all channels. I've got to get back to pushing that stuff out. And even then, because of that, now I know, okay, these are things I'm gonna have to adjust. I'm gonna have to change this up. I might have to slow the pacing down on the release times. I might have to adjust how they're released. I might have to adjust how I go into the interview, what I'm doing prior to, if I'm talking to the guest, not talking to the guest. Like all these things kind of shift, but that's because of a year's worth of experience has come, for lesser words, come to fruition, right? I just
Yeah.
know now what it is.
Yeah. The other thing I'm going to mention to like your point, and then we'll go straight into the metrics that we track is
Absolutely.
the other benefit of having so much content in the chamber is consistency.
Yeah.
So the only way for data to work for you is for you to have actual content to measure. And if you can measure every single week at the same time, whatever it is that you're measuring, then you can see like what the differences are, what's working, what's not working. Because the one thing that's consistent is your activity. So I think we what we would did what we did in essence is like mega batching.
Yeah.
But
This is
because
that.
we talk to folks about batching, that's like 5 pieces of content
Yeah.
at a time. But that mega batching definitely helped with like staying consistent. Like for me, staying consistent because I think I took about a two month vacation from recording, and I needed it. It was like a mental health break,
Yeah.
but we still were able to meet and look at the data because I'm still releasing content. I'm just not showing up live anymore.
Right.
So, oh, but I will say, live is definitely one of those things that got me to 1,000 subscribers. So we'll save
Ooh.
that to the end.
Hit a G.
So
All right.
Ali, I think we
Yeah.
should go into the metrics that we track.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna let you introduce those to the folks.
All right. So, um, each metric is different. So, podcast is going to be a little bit different than the YouTube, and I'll let Ariel cover the chunk of the podcast piece. For YouTube, we're looking at specifically the biggest metric that I look at currently is the duration, the view duration, and what
Mhm.
that is how long somebody watches the video. So, for me, when you're starting out, there's going to be several things you want to look at. You want to look at view duration. You want to look at the number of views, and you want to look at the source where those views are coming from and where they're being watched, right? So, and we'll have, matter of fact, I'll show you the analytics, or show you my my backyard right now.
Okay,
I'll share my
perfect.
screen. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Nope. Screen one. Hold on, I'm trying to find the tab to get y'all there.
Okay.
Safari. Okay. Yes. Oh. I can't share my what you call. No, hold on. Here we go. I got another way we're gonna do it.
Okay.
All right, it's gonna look a little bootleg, y'all. So bear with your boy.
We're
I'm
working with
still
it.
going to do it.
Hmm.
Okay, share screen. Here we go. Screen two. Okay, hold that
Okay.
thought. Man, what is going on? Oh, okay, got it.
What is it?
It's because it's Google Chrome. So I apologize,
Oh,
y'all. Bear with me. I did not know this was going to be an issue.
we are here.
Ah, okay, here you go. Google Chrome. Got it.
Now that you're going through that, I'm gonna pull up my back end as well, just so that I can have it ready to go when it's time to get into my side of the convo.
Okay. All right. So let's try this again. There we go. Okay. Let's make this a little bit prettier here. All right. Share. Boom. Oh God. Did it show up?
No, it didn't. Wait a minute. While you do that, hold up. Just
Okay.
to make sure. Can you share your screen? Nope, nothing.
Hmm. All right. You know
What
what?
are you hitting? Are you hitting the present button?
Yeah, it's not allowing me to connect. It's giving me a hard time.
Let's
Um
see. Present. Huh. And so you can't share your screen, none of that.
Currently, no, it won't let me share my screen. Hold on, here we go.
Okay.
Let's try this one more time.
Hmm.
Recheck it. It wants me to restart Chrome, and I don't want to
Oh,
restart Chrome. I don't think that's a good
I don't
life
want you to
choice.
restart. Yeah, man. But so, and it's you're talking about your back end, YouTube back end.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
got another way we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna go straight from my phone here,
Okay.
and I'm going to show you guys the back end via the phone.
Okay.
All right.
Otherwise, I was going to show my back end, and you can walk people through it.
Okay.
Which one? Which one? Whichever one you want to do.
All right. Let's do. Go through. Yeah. Pull up your back end. Pull up your
Mhm.
YouTube back end. Unless,
Okay.
see, doing like this is gonna be annoying. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So, but
Yep.
pull up your YouTube back end, and I'll walk it through.
Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. Those of you guys who are watching now on the replay or you guys are live, I appreciate y'all tuning in and rocking with us for the first live that I've done on YouTube. Um, Even though like this is a really important conversation, we're still working out the technical kinks. And so let's do this. Mhm. We're going to share my screen.
Yep. All right. Cool. Perfect.
Okay, you can see it.
Yeah. Oh,
Those of you
look at
guys who
that.
don't know how to get here, what?
Nothing.
That
Go
that
ahead. Keep
that
going.
111130 looking pretty nice. I don't know if that's
And
a lucky
37.
number, but I'll take it. Um, there was something I was going to say. Oh, how did I get to this page? If you don't know how to get to your YouTube analytics, you're going to click the profile picture here at the top of your screen. You're going to click it. It's going to ask you if you want to go to YouTube Studio. Mine doesn't say YouTube Studio because I'm already here. So you click YouTube Studio on this menu page, and it's going to bring you here. So every single week, Ali and I would pull up our back end and we would monitor whatever the numbers we wanted to look at are. And Ali's going to go through those now. So we highly suggest every single, and I'm speaking for you, obviously, Ali. Chime in whatever you want. I would say you should be looking at your numbers every single week, whatever you decide you're tracking. I got some horror stories on tracking numbers, some good stuff about tracking numbers, but you guys should be looking at your numbers and the progress of your content every single week. Take it away, Ali.
All right. So, first things first, let's go straight to analytics. All this information is good here. It's just the overview stuff, but I like to go into the analytics, and I know Ariel does as well. So, first thing you hit is the overview. It'll have views, watch time, and it'll have the sub count on there as well. So, once that loads up, it'll show us here in a bit. There we
Yes.
go. And now, so you can see on
Mm-hmm.
the
Can you
left
guys see it?
what Ariel's count is, right?
Mm-hmm.
She got the 2.7K as the view count. She got the watch time, 383 hours, and then 37 subs down from a little bit ago. So it has a time frame on there. What's that time frame say? Two less than when?
Time
Is it
two
two less
less
than
than
usual, right?
or yeah, two less than usual. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is showing in the last 28 days. So it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
37 in the last 28 days, and that's telling her there's two less than usual. Her last 28 days before this. Now, what's cool here is if you look at that graph, that's all the types of content Ariel has put out. So the little one with the little short symbol, of course, those are shorts. Everything else are videos. So scroll down a little bit, Ariel.
Mm-hmm. Now
So this,
tell the people what the
yeah.
short symbols are.
So the short symbols are all right. So we could see the squares all the way there. The ones that don't look like squares kind of looks like a squiggly line or two lines laid up at an angle. Those are the shorts. So anything that's a short will show up like that when you're looking at your analytics. Now, what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting is you can tell what content did well or better than other content that hit better based on just looking at this graph on a quick glance. So
Yep.
first thing you see is Ariel on the first three videos. That third video actually went up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not a
Mm-hmm.
huge amount, but enough to be a significant change. But then it dropped
Yes.
down. Now there's a bunch of reasons that could be. It could be it got quiet, but I think that was November 6th. So yeah, it wasn't during the holidays. So there wasn't enough being put out. So the views stopped. Views slowed down. But as soon as
Yeah.
she put some more stuff out, it copped that up. Go ahead, Ariel.
Well, what I was gonna say is you're jumping right into where I like to get into, which I like to read visual data.
Mhm.
So the cool thing about how to read data, for those of you guys who aren't data people yet, you'll have your numbers, and these things are like your snapshots of what performance looks like. You can literally track these every week. But what I like to do is look at this little fun line, because you cannot, like when you're on a roller coaster, you can tell when it's up, it's up, it's up and it's stuck. But you can actually look at the line and say, oh, okay, it's down. So why is that? And so what Ali was saying is, we see this huge peak. And if you're like, okay, so what happened here? The question that you want to always ask yourself when you're looking at data is like, okay, so what happened? Why am I seeing this performance? So you can see that this goes into really important data analytics, like tracking tips. The video that went out on this day says how to avoid overthinking, right? Compared to this video that says what's the cost of freedom and hustling in your 20s. When I did some digging, because I actually did some more digging into this day, more people are searching stress, anxiety, and depression. And that's why a lot of organic traffic went to this video. So simply by the title, I was able to like garner a lot of traction. And so that's why you actually see that peak. And some of the other videos, this one right here, sexual education, that's obviously a provocative type of word. And then coming down here, how do you increase your value? So it's how you increase your value, and the realization every entrepreneur has is kind of in line with these other titles. So you can measure what's working simply by looking at the data, asking yourself what happened in this spike, or what happened in this dip,
Right.
looking at the content that you put out there and identifying what are the patterns. So that's what I was going to say about that piece.
No. That's 100% dead on. Matter of fact, let's hop into it. Hit see more on there, on your
See,
under your view count. Yeah, hit see more.
where do you see Seymour?
Move your mouse away from the graph right there.
Ah, okay.
It was hiding from you. All right.
Listen,
So this is where we get
here we
into some
go.
of the hefty details. Now, we're not going to go over everything, of course, because like it's a lot of stuff to go over. But I'll give you some sources a little bit later on where you can go and check that out as well, or maybe learn from somebody who can give you some good education on it. All right. So if you go to traffic sources, matter of fact, just scroll down. Let's look at the videos themselves. All right. So
Mhm.
these are all the videos that Ariel has that's on the channel. The one that's in the highest ranking is the one that's just highest ranked amongst all the videos. Now, this is normally for me on my channel. This is my litmus test. Shout out to Jason White. He came on my video cast as well, and we talked about contracting. He did the same with Ariel, and he's been doing really well um, outside of us, of course, just with all the stuff he's doing in general. So you see his
Mhm.
video is the highest ranking on the channel. So for me, my aim is always to try and hit that number, if not go past those numbers. Now, I haven't hit it yet, but this is the aim. This is how it works. So the tricky part as well, though, is just as much as Jason's video gives, it also takes away. Because if your video is on a topic, like when you're starting out and it's not on topic, it makes it a little bit more difficult to understand what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong when it comes
Mhm.
to your video, your channel. Now, there's a way
Yes.
to fix that and go against that, and that's groups. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. But like I said, I'll give you guys a source so you'll be able to see where that is. But for now, I want to give
Cool.
you guys kind of like the nitty gritty pieces. So this is where you see the videos. Now let's go to traffic source.
Okay.
This is where we get into some fun stuff here. All right. So traffic source is going to give you where the people are watching your content, right? And how they're finding it. Sorry, how they're finding it, not where they're watching.
Mhm.
So if you scroll down, you see feed, the shorts feed, you see YouTube search, you see browse feature, you see suggested videos. Now, YouTube search isn't bad, browse features isn't bad. Where you want to be is a YouTube suggested videos. That means YouTube's algorithm is pushing your stuff out because it's like it's holding people on the platform, right? It's maintaining people on the platform. The other thing that's really cool right now is shorts, because they are newer and everything is on a huge thing to push out as much as they can to get you to use shorts. Now that's the primary target on YouTube, right? So if you're on YouTube right now and you're not using shorts, you're messing up, because there's a lot of opportunity for people who don't have a lot of followership to get more just based on using whatever YouTube is pushing at the time. So any
Mm-hmm.
tool you see them come out with, even if it seems funky at the time, give it a shot. See what works,
Yeah.
see what you like, see what you don't like. It will come back because YouTube's not going to put something out and then take it down automatically, right? They'll figure, all right, well, it's not working the way we want it to. Let's alter it, and you'll see alterations. And that's what we're
Yeah.
seeing with YouTube's Shorts feed. They didn't
Yeah.
take it down. There's like, all right, well, we need to do this. We need to add it on. So now the Shorts feed have its own platform. When you go onto anybody's YouTube channel, it won't just say videos. Now it says videos, shorts, and this way you can get to all of their content and you can sort it, making it easier for the viewer, for the watcher.
Yeah, the
Go ahead.
shorts also. To piggyback on what Oliver's saying, that shorts is really popular. Shoot, it's popular on a lot of
Mm-hmm.
platforms right now. It's a great page builder. So between going live and doing your shorts, you can literally get your views up. You can get more people to come see your page, and that could get you to higher subscribers. But what I don't want people to overlook, I want to point out this really, really dope stat that I'm looking at. If you look at the average view duration, you can see the average view duration based on the type of content. So obviously the shorts, the average view duration is 21 seconds because a short is about 30 seconds to 45 seconds.
Right.
But when you compare search versus browse versus suggested videos, which Ali said is the number one spot you want to be in, notice how more people are watching more of the video because it was suggested. So that means YouTube is saying, hey, you watch some content that's similar to this. Let me show you something else that's similar. Like you might enjoy it. Because of that, like it's kind of like in real life. If somebody refers you to do something, you're more likely to buy with the person and you're more likely to try to stick it out because it was suggested to you, because you had a referral. And so you're like, this is obviously somehow related to something that I'm interested in.
Right.
And so you see more people are watching, I guess, about 2 minutes more than YouTube search, which is, oh, and then it's 7,400 impressions, which is just showing you that the stronger you can get your suggested videos up, which obviously we can see is a area of opportunity for me, the better off you'll be in terms of YouTube success. Because now YouTube's algorithm takes you into the popularity of the algorithm. And I'm talking about this in a weird way. But you'll be able to, like, YouTube will be able to put you into the spaces where you need to be and show your videos more often, is what I really want to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And shout out to Eric. Thanks for being tuning in, man. I'm glad you enjoyed some of this, getting some good information out of this.
Yes.
So here's the thing. No matter where you're at in your YouTube or your podcasting journey, even if you're starting out just brand new and you haven't put your first episode out, when you go in to your analytics, be it on YouTube, Buzzsprout, what is the other one? Red Circle, whatever platform you're on or you're using, any information you can get is good information. You're not going to get a lot starting out. It just is what it is. Like I can tell you right now on mine, I'll go on and I may not be able to see all of my average viewers' ages, right? But start drilling down. Just get used to it. Get understanding the platform and what information is giving you so you can see the gaps in what you're missing, right? So for
Right.
Ariel, you got viewer age, you got geography, you got cities. These are
And check out that revenue source right there, because your girl is monetized. So it's important for us to measure.
Yes, it's a nice thing to measure the money coming in when you're getting some. But in this case, right, the primary focus, of course, is, hey, who am I talking to? So this helps you to see who your target demographic that's actually tuning in. So let's say Ariel said, hey, you know what? I'm trying to hit 55 to 64-year-olds who are going through midlife crisis or whatever it might be, and they're trying to figure their way out of it. They're trying to do something new. If she looks at this chart and sees 55 to 64, the number it's at, she knows she's not hitting her mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
She also knows, okay, well, I am hitting my mark in 35 to 44-year-olds. So maybe it's either, if I really want to go after that age group, I need to change my content, change something I'm doing in my content or my messaging in the content, or I need to adjust and just focus on this 35, 44.
Yep.
How do you change the content? I'm glad you asked, Ariel. Good. That's a good question. So what you do, you have to understand everybody is different, right? For those of us who are 80s babies and 90s babies, we grew up with different stuff than the kids coming up in the 20s or our grandparents in the 70s and 80s and 50s, right? Everybody's got a different slang. Some of it, yes, is recyclable, but everybody's got something different. So you're not going to talk to a 64-year-old about baseball the same way you'll talk to a 17-year-old about baseball. These are two different times. 64-year-old may have been around when the radio, it was the bigger thing on the radio, when that was a whole
Mm-hmm.
experience. Where the kid
Right.
now is, oh well, it's all about the video games. If I'm not playing MLB the show, then I don't know what you're talking about, right? So it's, you got to customize that fit for that. But that's how that works. That's what you're looking at
Even
when you're
if your
looking at
page
those
is
numbers.
on video game, like let's go into a specific niche. Like you said, 90s babies, we might be more interested in talking about the Nintendos versus the Minecraft. And
Mm-hmm.
Lord knows I don't know the Gen Z version of like good video games. But if you're in the niche of video games and you're not getting the target that you want, you might want to shift it to more age appropriate based on the viewer age.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I want to go back to my page. I just wanted to
Please,
see y'all's faces.
no, please go back to that page. Let's see this.
Okay.
So another great thing you can do with with the YouTube platform, particularly when you're talking about data, is all this stuff here is information you could use to your advantage,
Mhm.
right? So every time, let's go to cities. I'm gonna give you guys a huge tip for your next video. All right, so you go to cities, right? One thing you can do
All
is you can
right.
customize that city. You can customize your video to discuss something that's going on in one of those major cities for you. So in Ariel's, there's no major
Mm.
cities, right? So she's got the views. These are the cities that are showing up the most. If she was to go to a particular video and drill down, she can see what city's tuning in. So Ariel, go to one of your videos and just go to the video,
Mhm.
that specific video's analytics.
Okay.
Oh, so you go all the way
So
back. You go all the
okay.
way, yeah. Go to content. Mm. Yeah. If you go to content, you can drill down by video.
All right. So let's
So
go into how
click a
to
video.
avoid overthinking.
There you go. So she clicks on the video. And now when she goes to geography and she goes to cities specifically, let's try cities, we can see who is tuning in what locations. And this is where YouTube becomes
Y'all
extremely
working with
powerful.
the
The data
dev.
becomes powerful. All right, so scroll down, Ariel.
I'm like, and I'm actually kind of surprised
Mhm.
that we don't see any numbers here for the top cities. That's not typical.
No, it's not. But it does happen. Here's the thing, though. These are the cities that normally show up anyway, and I know this
Mhm.
just based on what me and Ariel going through our stuff before. But so what Ariel can do is she can talk about cases that have happened in Dallas and talk about how somebody was overthinking the situation. Or she can do the same
Mhm.
thing in Chicago. She's thinking with Detroit. She can do the same thing with New York. So you can take the information that you see on each one of those and customize it. So for me, if I've got a multifamily video that I put out about finding brokers, right? I can talk to my audience. Let's say Virginia is tuning in more than anybody else. I can taper my next video talking about brokers, specific brokers in Virginia, or bring somebody on from Virginia who's a
Mhm.
broker. And we can talk about real estate and multifamily world and what's happening there. So this is how you kind of take this information, this data that YouTube is giving you, and you customize it for your own audience.
Yes. The thing about, so we can do that with cities, but the thing about like being able to see the top titles for your podcast, you can for your YouTube channel, and the same thing goes for looking at data on like your audio platform, is that
Mhm.
you get to see what titles or what topics resonate with your audience, and you can create more podcast content off of that same genre. So now that I see how to avoid overthinking is like overperforming, I should have a lot more mental health conversations on here because that seems like something that my audience really wants to listen to versus some of the other ones, which I'm going back to them now. They're not doing as much as this title right here. So this gives us a good idea of what type of conversations to continue to have, whether it's on a podcast or you're just doing YouTube content going forward, because you're already using data to perform better.
That is a fact. Now you guys can go scroll through this thing a little bit later on your own. Now we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
go. Let's go hit something else. So hit the X button, Ariel, at the top right.
Okay. Can you guys see it?
I'm certain. I know Eric's still here. Eric says, you guys need to create a collaboration and perform a YouTube channel review similar
Mm.
to Morning Meetup. I
Mm-hmm.
think this could be very profitable for you two. Just my opinion. That's a good advice,
Hey,
Eric. I appreciate it, man.
thanks a lot. So
Yeah,
here's
that's
the
what I'm
thing.
think about.
I've been thinking about opening up these conversations that Ali and I have to the broader group, because I think one, we can learn from a lot of people's performance on the back end of their page, but two, we've built up this like cadence of checking this number and looking at this number and clicking the areas that matter and then seeing what happens week over week.
Right.
That I think a lot of people would definitely benefit from just understanding how to read data. Like, even though Ali shared his experience and why he decided to really chime into the data analytics, because he was about to be deployed. But I had been in data analytics, just big analytics. I didn't know how to read content analytics. So with us doing it, it's much easier for us to be able to walk you through it, because we're just a couple steps ahead. It's not that we are gurus in data analytics, but we have learned a couple things through our journey, and we're just basically sharing what we know with you guys.
That's it. That's it. And yeah, and like Arya said, definitely not gurus. Her and I still get combobulated looking looking at certain stuff, and we don't
Yes,
know
sir.
what we're looking at sometimes. So we got to go Google it or look it up or look to some of the channels I'll give you guys later that you can
Yeah.
also tune into. All right, let's go to let's do audience, Ariel. Oh yeah,
All
let's do
right.
audience.
The fun. Du.
All right. So, all right, y'all. So, this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to your viewers and returning viewers. Now, what you want is you always want the blue and the purple to kind of touch each other every now and then. So, what happens is anytime you see the blue, that's all the newer viewers. The purple is all the returning viewers. So, what happens is when you got people, let's say they're returning, right? Let's say the returning is higher. Let's say it's at 400. So you'll see that purple line sitting at 400. Every now and then, what you want to see is you want to see that blue that's sitting over top of that 400. Because if you got 400 returning viewers, you probably have 500,
New
500, maybe
visitors.
through, yeah, 100, 200 new visitors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that number needs to cross. And what that means is those new viewers are finding their way to becoming returning viewers, and it'll go back and forth. So sometimes you want them over, sometimes you want them under, but the biggest thing is you want them to touch each other. You want those lines to touch each other at some point, because what happens is it allows you to see that this is where somebody subscribed. Okay, they looked at this video, they enjoyed that. It crossed deeper in, let's say 20 under, using the blue line going under the purple line, and now you know, okay, cool, these people are returning. So what you see here is Ariel has a lot of returning. She has returning viewers, but right now she's missing out on a lot of the new viewers because
Mm-hmm.
they're not coming on, they're not coming back, right? Or they'll just
Especially right
go ahead.
here.
Yep. So you see that
So
big gap. Yep.
because so I told you guys I like the visual part. So there's a couple of things that we can digest from looking at these lines, the ones that Ali is breaking down. So it looks like if we just scan through the blue and the purple line, it looks like about 10 to 30% of the people who watch the podcast end up returning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's obviously we want the, like Ali said, we want the lines to be closer, and it would be really great if we had more returning users than viewers. But I would say, and I think that this is a trend. When I watch a lot of podcasts, they typically open up with 70% of you guys come to the channel and you don't subscribe. So that's why I like for you guys to subscribe. And actually, this is a great time for you guys who are watching to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because I think that there's a pattern with people who are returning users and then people who are just kind of viewing and coming along. But the second thing you can get from the fact that you see this huge spike of viewers here, but not a lot of people converted, is to say that, okay, when they came to my page, they were looking at that same video, how to avoid overthinking or building your network with Nicole Anderson. So when they came to the podcast, when they came to the page, they saw something that they liked. But when they were done with that first piece of content that got them in, they didn't see anything else they were interested in watching. And so that's why a lot of people didn't convert. Now, on a typical day, these are probably my normal numbers, but these spikes here are saying this is what a lot of people are interested in, but I don't have enough content to keep them long term. And then the third thing that I'll say that you can pick up by watching this, because I do an interview podcast, that means my guests, a lot of times my guests bring a lot of traction to the podcast. So depending on who the guest is, if there's a random spike and I see that it's, a video that didn't get a lot of views in general, then I look at which podcast, I go into the individual podcast and I say, which one spiked? So if a podcast, if a guest of mine is out doing something fun, if they're on a speaking event, if they just got a surge of people who are searching their name, because there's a random spike and it had nothing to do with my organic content. So you can get three things just from looking at the visual representation of the data. And if you didn't take the notes, then you can just rewatch this video and you go into your YouTube studio and see what your numbers look like. And then see what changes you can make based on what your numbers are saying.
Yeah. Oh shoot. And if that doesn't work, put a question in the video's comments and let us know, and we'll help you out. Whatever we can do to help you, assist you, to get you where you're trying to go, we will.
Yeah.
And like we said, we're still learning, figuring out. We still appreciate that, Eric. That is a good word. I'm not claiming no guru status though. But I do appreciate that flatter. That means a lot. But yeah, just leave a comment in the comments. Leave a comment in the comments. Come on, Ollie, get it together. Leave a comment in the comments and let us know what your question is. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find something that tells us the answer, and we'll share that with you and whoever else is in the chat listening or watching, and they can go into that same channel too. All right, Ariel, let's hit which one was remember which one the one was that had the sources, like where they're watching, like if it's on phone, if it's on video or computer or whatever. Remember that? Let's do that one.
The actual device.
Yeah.
Nope, but we can figure it out.
I think that's on
let's see.
The video itself, maybe.
Okay, let's go back.
Let's see, overview.
Or let's see. So here are the individual videos. Let's see if we go to business success, if we see what device people are looking at. So we have here the top traffic search, the top traffic sources, which I think not just as a podcaster, but even for your podcast guests, the fact that some people, more like 75% of people are searching for the content, I think that's really dope. So while we mentioned earlier suggested videos is dope and it gets you into the algorithm, the fact that you can actually tell your guests, hey, people are searching for you, and then you're coming up 75% of the time when people search, I think is when you start having money conversations and sponsorship conversations, these are the things that you can use to have a conversation with a brand to say, hey, people are searching for this type of content on my page. And so you're likely to get the same type of traction. So you should invest X amount of money with me in your marketing dollars, because you'll get a return on investment. So the power here. So while we're talking the tactics of how to look at your data, the power of looking at your data allows you, one, to make changes like we've been talking about, but two, you can have a more powerful conversation with sponsors and even guests when you're trying to get them to understand the value of them being on your show. So the stories that I love to tell a lot of times is, listen, my affiliate, if I put an affiliate link in the description, knowing that I can tell someone you can get like a 20% ROI or 50% ROI simply by joining the conversation for as long as this conversation lasts. That's because I watch the numbers. We haven't even gotten into those numbers yet, but I want you guys to understand the power of what Ali and I are showing you today. So right now it might be like, okay, these are just a whole bunch of numbers and lines, and how does this apply to me? But if you learn how to read it now, it'll make your podcast, your YouTube, your content creator journey a lot easier as we move forward.
This is absolutely fact. And I'm still trying to figure out where the heck the devices are on here that shows the
Oh,
devices.
facts. I
Um,
deviated. You see my ADHD brain.
no, you're good. You're good. I think it's really important people get the kind of information that we're doing our best to give out so they can see what's out there for themselves as well. But to go back to it, for there is a stat, a device, a part on here that'll show you exactly where the devices, where the
Let's
videos are being watched, the
engagements.
stuff is being seen. And
Mhm.
this is the part we're trying to figure out now. But what it'll show you computer, it'll show you TV, it will show you phone, and I think there's another option on there too. So normally, particularly right now in our society, we all know the likelihood of your stuff being watched more on television and on YouTube is not, or sorry, on television and on computer is a lot less likely than your stuff being on the phone. Here's why. Everybody's got the phone all the time, and I'm sure you've seen it. You've gotten on the train, you sat on the bus, you've gone into a store, a restaurant, and everybody's heads down like this the whole time, right? And they're on their phone, they're scrolling through their phone. What they're doing is watching videos. Now, this is why we see the turn in most platforms going to a short form format. So a minute or less is the format. The shorter your stuff is, the more likely it is getting watched and it's getting viewed. So what you want to do is some specific things you should be looking at when you put your stuff together is go for whatever format your stuff is being watched the most. In my case and Ariel's case, I believe we're being watched more on the phone than we are anywhere else. So everything we do is formatted to work on that platform. So all my letters on my videos, the wording has to be bigger because I know when they look down at their iPhone, the regular little iPhone, it's not, they can't see if the letters are tiny, right? It's going to be for them like attempting to read Braille. You don't want them to read Braille. I need them to see it clearly. So this is
Mhm.
why you see people who are, oh, there we go. Perfect. This is why you see folks who are getting to see their stuff more often when it's just two faces and no words,
Mhm.
right? Those are the ones that you see that are getting probably the most views on some for most people. It always differs based on what you see, and we'll talk about thumbnails here in a bit. But as you can see, Ariel's number one is her phone, is the phone's computer's number two, the TV is number three, and oddly enough, tablet is number four.
Yeah. You know, the iPad, I feel
Mhm.
like it's going down for a lot of families. Like people are just on the phones because phones are kind of tablets now anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And matter of fact, let's not slip up. For those of you who are on strictly a podcast platform, the
Hmm.
same thing is there for you somewhere, right? Whether it's on Buzzsprout, whether it's on Red Circle, they
Yep.
have data that will show you where your stuff is being listed to. Is it being listed to more on iTunes? Is it being searched for on Spotify? Where is it? Is it Google Podcasts? Where's your stuff getting the most traction? When you find that particular outlet, that may be something you want to lean into a little bit to get more and more people to watch, more and more traction.
And to
Um,
engage, like,
yep.
so by leaning in, it's like talk to them, tell them, hey, I know you're on your Google podcast, you know, like you're talking to them. That's how people can, like, women can take, they can start saying, all right, girl, when, because they know that, you know, 50 or 60% of their followers or their subscribers are women. Let's go to the
Right.
viewer gender.
Right. It,
um
it goes right back to what we were talking about earlier. Is
mhm.
that the stuff that's customized to who you know who's watching?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and this almost tripped me out because I'm like, what? Not enough data, but it's because we're looking at the video um level. So if
Mm-hmm.
we were to look at the whole channel level, then we would be able to see the gender.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if you guys have any specific questions about what data to look at, let us know. I didn't want us to, we're not gonna take you guys into the whole data spiel. I think we should do a part two, actually, Ali.
Maybe
Um,
maybe Eric's right. Maybe we just should make this a thing.
I mean, it's already a thing. I think we'll just be opening it up to the public.
That's very true. That's very
So
true.
if you guys want to, if you guys want support, if you want accountability on checking your numbers every week, then just hit us up. You can hit me up in the DM or you can hit Ali up in the DM. I put our Instagram tags in the description of this video. And if you want to get in on our weekly calls, then just let us know. And we'll come in together. We'll look at our numbers in the beginning of the call. And then we typically break out our calls and depending on what our focus is. This for the next couple months, we're focusing on YouTube growth. So if you want to get in to the data conversation and you're like, okay, I'm a novice, so neither one of us is going to judge you. If you're trying to figure out how do I click here, this is the place you will not be intimidated in the group.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, this is definitely something I'd love to be able to share with more people. There's a story Mr. Beast tells, and if you don't know who Mr. Beast is, Mr. Beast is the number one YouTuber in the world. My man gets millions and millions of views. If anybody saw Squid Games, he did a Squid Games video right after that movie came out, maybe like a week or 3 or 4 weeks later, or something like that, which did a phenomenal numbers. Everybody was talking about it when that happened. But there's an interview where he said he sat down one day when he was younger and he just had a group of guys, a group of people who were fellow YouTubers that they just talk. And all they would do was talk YouTube. They had it on an open channel format, open channel like Discord or something like an IG chat or something like that, where it was just this open group. And they were constantly talking about YouTube. Hey, I did this. I didn't do this. This did right. This was bad. Whatever, whatever. So what happens is when you do that, now you got 6 heads are better than one. You're learning from the mistakes of 6 other people. So those 10 mistakes you just had, multiply that by 6. Now you got 60 mistakes. You're learning for 60 mistakes at a time, right? So he learned more lessons together with those guys who are all, from what I understand and what he says, are successful YouTubers. You learn more together than you do separate. So come through, join us. We'd love for you to be a part.
Pull up.
Talk about this male female thing. Let's talk about this gender thing.
Listen, what's crazy is, and it's I wasn't surprised because I think energetically, I connect well with men for some reason, and it could be because the whole masculine versus feminine energy, blah blah blah. But I've never been the girl that's like, "Hey, sis," and you can see that in your. The powerful thing is you can see that in my numbers. That 43% of my page is female, which is like, okay, it's not a huge pink channel. I don't talk a lot about women's things, even though I could. And I think maybe future me 10 years from now, she'll be more girly. But this is telling you what exactly are people coming to your page for? Like, who are you resonating with? And even my clients, I think I'm majority men in the group when we do the community of pioneers. So you have to see who you're resonating with, and you can start to use this language. As Ali said, you can lean in. You can start to look up specific issues or podcasting things or career. If you're transitioning from corporate to entrepreneur, you can look at the specific issues that come to males, like being the head of household, having children, being able to make sure that you're taking care of your family and navigating your career at the same time. This is a different conversation than a woman who is looking for a man, trying to date while she's single and she wants to quit her job.
Right.
Now you got to figure out how to pay your own bill. Like, listen, okay, I'm not gonna get in my soapbox, but knowing who's watching, whether they're female or male, is extremely powerful.
It's a fact. Eric, so I apologize. Man, this carbonated drink is not working today. I'm going to stick with regular Deer Park water for now on.
Agua, yes.
Great Jesus. Anyway,
I support that message.
So let's see. Do me a favor. Look up Ariel. Look up Sloan Blueprint. Let's go on to Eric's page. I want to see. Let's see what he's doing.
Now you know what would be dope. So my tube buddy isn't signed in, but if it was, we could have gone to the back end of his podcast to look at their performance.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Or is it with vidIQ?
Affiliate link. I think it's both. I think because I've got vidIQ on mine, so once I get mine working right, I could pull it vidIQ. Let's see Sloan Blueprint. Eric, I hope you got your stuff. No E. Just no E. There you go.
Is it podcast at the end?
No, he just said, well, it's a podcast, but he just said it just says Sloan Blueprint. So I don't know if it's
Okay.
okay. Cool. Now go to. All right, here we go. All right. Now let's take a look at Sloan stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, so first things first, hit videos. All right, let's scroll through here a little bit. All right, so keep going, keep going. What's this sorted by? Is this sorted by popular or most recent?
Let's filter by, it's by most recent. So you want to do popular?
Yeah, let's do popular.
Okay. Now, one thing about Ali has been, so when we're meeting, Ali will go in on the thumbnail research. Like Ali invests in A/B testing when it comes to knowing what's the patterns, what's the successful thumbnail look like, which thumbnails are getting high views, which ones are getting long durations, which ones are clickable, which ones are not. So Ali is the person to go to talk about like, yo, what you think about my thumbnails?
Yeah. Yeah, I love thumbnail work. So here's my theory. This is why I'm so heavy on it. If I can get you to click on my video, that's step one done, right? So right now I'm obsessed with getting my thumbnail and getting my titles right. Now it's a struggle and it's always an experiment, but I'm going to show you guys a few things as I'm going through Sloan's. Hopefully you can pick up some of this stuff and it'll help you out. So first things first. All right, with Sloan, looks like Sloan and his wife are doing look like they're doing interviews and they're providing content on ways to build wealth and to build stuff with their sub. Matter of fact, go to about, hit about. Let's see if Sloan's got his layout on about.
Okay.
Okay, so
Nothing there.
yeah, so first thing, Sloan, make sure you put something in your about in your details. I've got to fix this too, so I'm not judging you at all. I just learned this recently. It makes it easier so somebody can go to your page and know exactly what you're about. I'm gonna show you the next way you do that. Let's go back to videos.
Okay.
All right, so in your videos, somebody should know just by looking at your thumbnail exactly what they're getting themselves into. Do me a favor, Ariel. Go into put youtube.com on a different do a different tab,
Mm-hmm.
and let's just pick a YouTuber you know about. Put youtube.com.
Okay. A YouTuber that I know about.
Ooh,
Let's
here.
go to
I got you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Who you know? Let's see.
no.
Who you got?
Give it to me.
Go. Let's go Nikki and Moose.
Okay.
Shout out to Nikki and Moose. Yeah, Nikki. Yeah, there you go. Nikki with a Y. Nikki and Moose.
Ooh,
Nikki
look at
is
me.
is one of a friend and a mentor, but let's go to Nikki's page. She's been doing this for a while, so she's got game. So when you go to Nikki and Moose's page, if you go into their videos and you look at their thumbnails, you're gonna know exactly what that thumbnail is about just by looking at the video at the thumbnail, or the video is about just by looking at the thumbnail. So once it comes up, you'll see stuff like see how all right, so first thing that hits you is you see how many faces you have on her page. For me, for anybody who's doing interviews, this is going to be huge for you. No judgment, Eric, don't worry. Anybody who's doing videos and they're doing interviews, this is big, right? YouTube data research suggests that when you have two faces, that's better than anything, right? Two faces always top. Three faces is kind of back and forth. One face is okay, but it's normally hitting like third place. It'll shift between third and second, excuse me, with the three faces. So normally I do my best to do three faces. Something else that I've learned, and this is something that I started implementing, is what I call 3 layers, right? On every last one of these thumbnails, except for the one at the top left, Nikki has 3 different layers. Here's what I mean. If you go to the very first one, matter of fact, scroll up a little bit.
Okay.
Go to
It's not,
popular.
I can't
Oh,
hover over. It's always weird because
no, that's fine.
I
Just
want
go
to
to
hover
popular.
over and then okay,
All
here we
right.
go.
So their most popular interviews. Patrice, I got your question. I'm gonna read out in a bit. Give me a sec. So you have 3 layers here, and this one, oddly enough, is a little bit more than 3 layers. Let's see the very first one. You've got the faces, right? That's one layer. You got the words. That's another. You got the background. 3 layers. There's in everybody's stuff that I've seen that is successful, that is doing it at a higher level, or is where I want to go personally. They are always have like 3 layers of stuff, and it's not so much that it hacks up the screen, but it's not so little that you can't understand what's happening. So if I was to scroll around on my phone, I know exactly what this first video is about. Why did he leave Dave Ramsey? So you're asking yourself, why would he leave Dave Ramsey? What's so bad about that? And this is what you want to get after. You want to look up channels that are like your own, that you can go and take some of the stuff that they're doing. I look at a lot of interview videos. Now I'm shifting, because I'm shifting my channel. I'm shifting to more vlogs and people who are doing multiple things in one, right? Or kind of a variety-ish to their content. So I think that's what you need to be going to do, and looking at channels that are like yours and seeing who's successful, who you watch, and figure out why you watch it. Like, why did you click on that thumbnail? Why did you stop at that video? And here's what's funny. And I told you this earlier, Ariel. I'm rambling right now a little bit, y'all. But Patrice, we're gonna talk. I'm gonna read your question next after I do this.
What's up, Patrice?
So everything we do, you do for a reason. Whether it's buying a purse, whether it's buying a pair of J's, whether it's watching a Netflix video, whether it's watching a YouTube video, whether it's watching something on Hulu or whatever it is. When you go onto your Hulu, look at your Hulu versus your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend's Hulu or your kid's Hulu. Look at the differences in those thumbnails and ask yourself, what makes you click on that stuff? Why am I clicking on this versus this? Because there's not a lot of words on those. You'll see the title, but you see the title after the photo. So these companies are putting big money into that. So they're giving you hints on how you can do it, and they don't even realize it. So take advantage of that. All right. So the question from...
Well, before you do that, real quick, I just wanted to pick out, I think, one, when we do this live again, it would be good to continue the case study on Nikki and Moose. Okay. Because one thing that you notice, if you look at their videos by popularity, first of all, I was like, dang, these graphics are old compared to like what I just was looking at. And because like what you can see is like, and this is where, as much as I'm a data person, I love organic. I just want to do a lot of times, which is very counterproductive to this data-driven conversation, which is why I like the accountability that I have with Ali. But sometimes I feel like it's a feeling. It's not a logic. So remember, we're having a logic conversation. When you don't do so much, when you don't focus on those things, those end up being like your best performing content. I can't necessarily say that, even though I want to, because it's like, okay, their basic thumbnails got views in the thousands, right? Whereas the recently uploaded are like these new fancy thumbnails. What I would love to see, Ali, is as we look at this in the next couple of months, if the traction increase, if they saw some type of decline, or if they even went back to the old thumbnails that they were using because the data wasn't proving that these thumbnails were making any difference. So that's why I like to look at the data, because you can see, like, it does look cooler. It absolutely looks cooler, right?
Yeah, it does.
But is it performing better? Is it actually making their content stand out more? That's the question that I really have just by looking at their videos.
Great question. All right, Patrice, I am going to let's ask your question. So Patrice's question, and I got you, Eric. I saw yours as well. For someone just starting on YouTube, there are a lot of data to look at. At what data point should someone new focus on? Okay. Here's my advice to someone new. I think you should be focused on your click-through rate. Here's why. Nobody's going to watch a video if they don't click on the thumbnail. It's that simple. If you can't get them to click on the thumbnail, there's no reason they are going to continue to go into the video and watch it. You can't get there. So it's the same thing I talked about a little bit earlier in doing like the very first step. That's step one. Now, if you're just starting out, it's going to take some time for you to get click-through rates. So the biggest piece before, just alongside of that, is just being consistent. Even if you're doing once a month, screw it. Do once a month, every month. I'm trying not to curse on here. I got to be better. I don't have no beep button. The army has tainted me. So you put one every time. You put one once a month, 1 once a month. So sit down and make a decision. Hey, I'm going to go with this much time. There is no right and wrong answer to that. There's people who have super successful channels that are making tons of money with a single video a month. There's people who are making tons with 12 videos a week. Do what's within your capacity. Remember, you can always increase. It's not as good as decrease, right? I'm going to decrease on mine. I may go from once every week to twice a month because I overshot my capacity. I literally pushed so hard to make all those videos. Now I'm looking and I'm like, man, I didn't edit anything. I got to go back and start editing videos, but I can't afford to pay myself, or sorry, to pay somebody else. So I've got to do it, right? So
Mhm.
one video will be him, one video will be me when I finally get an editor. And then in between there, I'll do the shorts and do little stuff to fill in the blanks. So I'm still posting every week, multiple times a week, but it's not just the video. It's not the interview version of the video cast. What are your thoughts? What do you think, Ariel?
Yeah, I was gonna say my answer is gonna be a little different. So my answer is gonna be a little different, even though
Mhm.
you guys already know the vanity metrics. So you know the views, you guys know the clicks and those things like that. But I believe that if you're starting now, one metric that you can actually look at that will give you a lot of context around if people actually like your content is the average view duration. So the average view duration on YouTube is about 11 minutes. And if you have a 60-minute piece of content and people are only watching 8 minutes of it, then it's telling you that, listen, you're dropping off people, you're losing people 8 minutes into the conversation. You can at least get to the YouTube average in order to capture people's attention. This is also an indicator for you to say, like, maybe I should create a 5-minute segment. That way I can get 100% a longer view duration percentage. So I think that if I started off a channel with let's say a 1 minute view duration, average view duration, I would monitor the conversation and see where people drop off. And I would be intentional about being energetic during those times where people drop off, bringing in different, like, points of things that people want to hear during those points to see
Yeah,
if I can increase that view duration, because I think that's where engagement is really like telling you, are people watching your content,
right.
or are people just clicking it? You get a view, and then you're thinking that your channel's awesome, which it may or may not be. So instead of focusing on the vanilla statistics like views and things like that, I would say average click through rate would be mine. And I love, sorry, yours was click through rate.
Yeah.
Mine was
Yours is view duration.
average view duration. So yeah, that would be my statistic to watch.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, but let me give you this caveat. So for those of you
Go
guys
for it.
who weren't here in the beginning, what I said, which is similar to what Ali said, is when you're starting out, all of the data is going to look like, it's going to look like zeros. It's going to look like a whole bunch of zeros. And so don't get discouraged if you have a low average view duration or if you have a low click through rate, because you're just getting started. The goal for you would be to get content out there and to be consistent. And then, 20 videos in, 20 pieces of content in, you look back and then you can track it. You might not be able to track it from like the YouTube analytics numbers, because sometimes it takes more data for the system to read, but you can look at it at the granular level to say, okay, last week that video got 5 views, and this week this video got 2 views, and continue to look at your data at a granular level until you have enough data to read average click through rate and to read
Absolutely.
average view duration, because
Absolutely.
it's not going to look like what you think from the beginning.
No, it's gonna suck. I'm gonna tell you straight up. Your stats are gonna be absolutely trash, right? I'm gonna be 100% honest with you because I get on mine. I swear I get on mine. Sometimes I'm like, Jesus Christ, what am I doing with my life?
And you do, though. That's the thing. Like when we get on our accountability calls, and that's the thing. Ali has been with me since before I had like 50 subscribers. So to get to a point where I have 1,000 subscribers every single week, and I think that's probably been the most frustrating for you, because you've been overseas for a lot of the growth that I've been able to have over here in the US.
Mm.
So Ali will be looking at his numbers, and I'm like, "Oh, got another win," and he's like, "Yeah, mine
Yo,
is trash."
straight up. I'm be honest. I be muting you. You don't even know it. I be hitting the mute button. I turn my headphones all the way down, and I see you doing like this, right? And I don't say a word. I'm
And
kidding. I'm
I
joking.
celebrated the first little $17 I saw in my back end. I was like, oh, she getting to the money.
Yeah, she got up and started salsaing on the call. I said, "What? Lord knows what is
Listen,
going
you
on."
you got to celebrate the small wins, but I swear, what I know, what I feel like is going to happen though, because not only do we talk about data on
Yeah.
our accountability calls, we talk about strategy. So what I feel like is going to happen is Ali, like he's going to get all fine tuned in his strategy and the things that he's been teaching me that's gotten me to a point where my channel is blown up in terms of monetization. I say blown up. $17 is a blow up. Um, I think that like with us being able to talk through strategy, Ali's channel is going to get so honed in on the multifamily real estate and his journey in real estate and as a military um I want to say veteran. Is it veteran or
Well, so technically, and this is a debate in the military world. Maybe it's not in the military. I just debate with myself. So is it veteran or is it not veteran? And here's my thought on it. And we're gonna go off topic a little bit, y'all. Hang with me.
Mhm.
Here's my thing. I don't think it's veteran because veteran insinuates that I'm out, right? That I've finished my duty instead of still being in, which I am, right? So I'm still in. So technically, no, it's not veteran, but I believe just for ease of understanding and continuity's sake, we just say veteran, right?
Okay.
That's why you'll always hear me say like a U.S. Army officer or a U.S. Army soldier because it's
Mhm.
easier. Like it takes that piece out of it altogether. But
Okay.
yes, yes, it is just that. It's veteran.
Okay,
But go ahead.
got you. Thanks. What Eric said, as they say, Army strong, can't hate, bro. Listen, my success is because of these accountability groups. I promise you, it's like I wouldn't have changed my thumbnails. Like, even though the content was already done, I wouldn't have changed the thumbnails, wouldn't have changed certain like highlights that I focus on in the content. I wouldn't have been like, oh, okay, this week I'm gonna chop up the 10-minute video and I'm gonna put it out there. It's just that having someone be able to stay accountable with you, make sure that
Right.
you do the action. Because I'll be honest, data can be boring, but that's where we're going in this age of content. Like if you want to go out there, throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, I'm sure that's a strategy if you got the money and the time. But if you know you want to do it in a more intentional way, you got to look at the data, and doing it by yourself is just boring.
Yeah, it can be a bit draining when doing it solo. All right, so Eric did have a question.
Mhm.
Eric's question was, can he change an old thumbnail on a video on his old sorry, a thumbnail on one of his old videos?
Yes, let me share my screen.
Yes, please do. Walk us through it.
Okay. You would think I had some of that carbonated beverage that Ali had, but
Hey
I'm
man, don't
just
listen.
I need to
Why
get
you
some
got why you
water.
gotta wait? Why you gotta bring up why you gotta do that? That's not cool. Like I don't understand. Like I'm putting myself out here in the streets, you know what I mean? And you just shoot a brother down.
Listen, I got I got a little something going. Listen, I'm gonna be honest on this vulnerability thing. I'm showing my whole little back end. I feel like my skirt's up. I just want to let y'all know how much we care about you guys, because this is literally what Ali and I do. We go into our back end, but we show each other what our numbers are looking like. But it's one thing to show it to each other, and it's another thing to show it to the public when uh, you're focused on making your channel look like it's the bomb. And going into your channel and seeing, oh, I got 0 views this week. It's a vulnerable conversation to have because the numbers don't lie.
It sucks.
So just so y'all know, y'all looking in this private arena. This video is gonna be up for like a replay later, but I'm just let y'all know we exposing ourselves out here.
That's a fact.
So as the devil lows, what we're gonna show you right now is how to change your thumbnail, even if it's already launched. But while we're here, let's just read the data line by line really, really quick. So we're in the back end of my videos, the videos that I've already posted, and I'm gonna show you guys what all this stuff actually means. um so the visibility is pretty simple. I think that one is probably the most straightforward. If it's private, unlisted, or public. So if it's unlisted, you can actually share those videos, but it won't get any you won't be able to monetize, and you won't get any watch hours for the unlisted. So it has to be public. And share scheduling, we can talk about the functionality of that kind of stuff later. This monetization button right here, it just came. Listen, I'm not gonna stop talking about my excitement, but you can see 3 different colors here. It's either gonna be green, yellow, or red, and it tells you whether you're gonna be able to monetize on it based on the content. This restrictions, these this ad suitability is the same thing, same reason why I have a yellow here. It's because the content that we were talking about, trauma in your career, I think that the whole mental health trauma doesn't make it very palatable for ads and stuff. And then the dates, you can actually see when the actual content launched. When we look at the data, which we're not going to do today, you can see a difference in the way a video performs when it's premiered versus when it's published. So that's also something that we can get into later. The typical numbers here, which are your views, I think that everybody knows that at this point, and then your comments. I can actually see which videos were more engaging just by saying, okay, so who's having conversation around these episodes? And they're not always like, oh, great conversation. Sometimes they're like, why did it take y'all so long to get to the money conversation? And I'm like, ooh, let me, give them some more content that's focused on the money. So that's just the how do you read the numbers in the back end. Oh, you guys are seeing some episodes that have not launched. Let me go up here. I told y'all we showing all
Dun,
our
dun,
insides.
dun.
Okay, so I just clicked this little pencil. Right, they showing it's seeing everything. So I just clicked the pencil so that we can come into the back end. And so this is where you would change your thumbnail. You scroll down under your video details. Mind you, if you don't have affiliate links in your description, you're losing. So just go ahead and start thinking about how you can actually incorporate affiliates. Um, this is the thumbnail that is actually on my video. So to change it, you hit these three dots, which is options. You can change or download at any time. So if you ever want to change it to something more clickbaity, you can always do that. And what it will allow you to do is catch some folks' eye, and maybe they'll choose your video over the next one when they search that term. You can also change your description. So if you want to scroll all the way up, you can change the description. And I will change the description sometimes if I'm doing search engine optimization and I see that a certain word is trending more than the one that I have in my title. I'll change my episode. I'll change the title, or I'll go into the description and I'll add some details so that it can increase the traction on my search. So you can change pretty much everything except the actual video.
This is a fact. And Ariel,
Hmm.
this is why I spend a lot of time on thumbnails. I do this all the time. Oh, before I get into that, first of all, yo, I grabbed the empty bottle of water a second ago, right? And
Yeah.
I was looking around. I was like, yo, I know I didn't. Am I that thirsty? I done drank.
All your water.
I done drank. No, I got the whole bottle right here. I got the bottle with the water in here. I just looked on the wrong side of my chair. Don't listen.
Look, you've been
It's the water.
struggling this whole time.
I got
If
water
anybody
problems.
should be drinking, it should be you because I'm struggling right here. The lights are on me. My lips are dry. I'm trying to get some water. So those of you guys who are still on here, I appreciate you. I'm working on you. I'm working.
Gotta lick
Okay.
them lips. Get them unchapped.
Man. So we'll be on here for probably another like 15 minutes
all
or
right.
so or less. I'm not sure. So those of you guys who have specific questions, ask us. We can show you the back end and things like that. So I'm gonna share my screen
while y'all type
again.
those, while y'all type those questions out. Yes, Eric, we need to connect on that real estate broker as well, that real estate broker piece. But just in general, we need to connect. So yeah, hit me up. I'm sure Ariel would like you to hit her up as well. We could definitely do a guest thing.
Yeah. It was good seeing you at InvestFest.
All right, so
So which
on
window?
that thumbnail that you just had up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's something that you guys can do, and this is tricky, right? Because you got to spend some time doing it. First of all, I every class that I've been to, every kind of training that I went to, they always tell me they don't care. They don't think we should put like our logos on there. Honestly, I don't think it hurts personally. I just because I don't care, right? Because if it's up there, it's up there. So what? But like taking those words, like in this one, what I would do is I take the calling to cook up and center it. So the
Like right
calling
here.
to, right, the calling to, and then cook would be in the middle. And even then, you do the Photoshop layering trick. And
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who don't know what that is, all it is you put the photo on one layer, the wording on another layer, and then another photo over top of that, and then you'd erase where where the letters are, so it looks like the letters go behind her head and Ariel's head at the top, right?
Yes.
Providing a layer of depth. Um, and this is This is more the advanced piece, particularly if
Mhm.
you've got like Photoshop and stuff like that. But you've got Canva and stuff like that now. You can do that in Canva. Just hit on Google's, look on Canva, and see what you can learn from Canva as well.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people doing some crazy stuff on Canva. It's nuts. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was it. And then on your description, Ariel does this I think really well. You do really well with copy. Do
Do
it.
I? What's that?
Yeah. So what you do is when you write the description, the advice that I've been given, the guidance that I've been told is write it as if you're talking to someone,
Hmm.
right? Write it as if you're having a conversation with somebody. You're telling them about it. Make it as natural as possible. Because I don't do it very well right now, but it's something that you just got to work on. But Ariel, you do that really well. Matter of fact, can you talk about that? What's your thought process when you're doing your description?
That's actually, it's interesting that you say that because for the last 132 episodes, that has always been my goal is to narrate the conversation. I
Right.
typically will do like a paragraph or two in the beginning to say like who the person is,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll get into the conversation, which, I got to talk to my VA about this because typically what we'll do is a paragraph and then we'll say, in this episode, we talked about ba, 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 ba. So we hit it in like a bulleted section. So we'll do a paragraph. It's more just descriptive.
Right.
And then we'll do the kind of like the bullets. And then we'll go into like, this is how you can buy the stuff. This is how you can catch the stuff. But lately, I've been thinking of changing it to more of a show notes format. So a lot of podcasters really just give you the timestamps of the conversation, and then you can, watch whatever parts of the conversation you want from there. I think that for me, it's probably going to be easier for my workflow to do it like just transcribe the conversation, do the timestamps, and put it in the show notes. But I also was thinking about how it would be beneficial for search engine optimization,
Mm.
because then I can just take some keywords that I'm seeing are really trending, put it in the show notes like format, and it doesn't have to be this like full sentence. So yes, the descriptions that I've been using, that's what I've been using the same format since episode 1. But lately I have been thinking about just slapping in, and I say slapping in just because I feel like you just transcribe it, you give them a couple timestamps, and then they'll be able to kind of search through the content at their own will. Because I don't do that right now. I don't show them the timestamps.
Right. Okay. All
Those
right.
are, so
So
those are my thoughts on it.
yeah. Okay. So I know we getting close to time. So I
Hmm.
did promise you guys to give you a channel that you can tune into outside of us. And we're not even a channel yet. We'll see how that goes. We'll come to a decision somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'll give you one that I pay. Oh, as a matter of fact, I'm lying. I'll give you two. I'm gonna give you two. Of course, always go to classic. I go with my sister Nikki. Nikki is a what's the right way to say it without cursing?
I thought you was gonna say a beast, but then
I
that's
was
kind
I
of
was gonna
close to
say
Mr. Beast.
I was gonna say a F and then say beast, but I've cut that out because I am a new man, thank God. Um I'm
Amen.
yes, sir. All right. So I'm but I definitely say check Nikki out. Nikki has a lot of great advice on how you're getting started, what you should be looking at, how to narrow it in, that kind of thing. And I'm sure we'll talk about that on another day as well. And then another one specifically for YouTube is Roberto Blake. Now his his um his format is normally really long, but he does have 15-minute videos in there. But you got to think too, everything this guy is giving you is for free. And this is a guy who has learned from some of the best when it comes to YouTube. And he is an animal like that. He's got to be making a good chunk of change. Not that that's what it's all about, but that is what most people litmus test is. But he's making a good chunk of change on YouTube, just going through sponsorships. He'll tell you how to get ads, stuff like that. You can see all that stuff. But if you don't you worry about it. You just bring your behind on over here, and we'll break it down to you. We'll hook you up.
Yeah. You know what's gonna be dope for folks who want to join? And I saw Eric. He said, "What's the cost?" We're gonna have to put our heads together and talk about like how we're gonna bring this to you guys. Because it's going to be interesting as we start integrating more people into these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
People have different strengths and people have different perspectives. I'm a very organic type of person. I thank God that my career before I quit was in data analytics, because if I didn't have the skill set, I think I wouldn't be where I am today.
Right.
Um, but I'm pretty just organic. Like, what does it look like? What does the line look like? What are the peaks and valleys? And then let me dive in and do some research from there. Ali is really good with thumbnails. He will, like I said, he'll do the A/B testing. And if you're the type of person who researches, like you can look at a video for hours and catch the patterns and the tonality and things like that. There's so many angles that we can look at data that anyone in that adds to the group would add just a different perspective to the conversation.
Yeah.
And so as we
Yeah.
all sharpen iron, iron sharpen iron, we'll be able to kind of utilize everyone's gifts to just amplify our YouTube channels. Um, and I'll say this:
Mm-hmm.
after 130 some episodes, I do realize the goal for me, the intention should be to focus on what is going to get a revenue, a return on investment. I'll be honest. Now that I know that content creator is a job, you know what I'm saying? It's a full-time job.
Yeah, it is.
It's something that if you think this is going to be a hobby, if you think that I'm not going to take it seriously, then you'd be mistaken. And if you want to join the group just to kind of look at analytics for fun, that you're totally welcome. But again, my perspective will always be, is it actually making us money? And if it's not, then that's cool. If you're not even caring about that, then that's cool. But bring your perspective. I look forward to more personalities. That's gonna be dope.
Yeah. Listen, if you come on, not if, when you come and join us, right? Don't come in with soft skin. I am going to go in. Telling you
He
now.
goes in on himself. Like
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
nobody is exceptional. Like
Nobody does not take the L. Like, I'm gonna mess with you, and it's okay. I don't want you to feel like, I'm attacking you, because I am. But it's not to hurt your feelings. I assure you. It's only because if I don't, you won't see it. And normally I'll put it in a sense that's gonna at least make you laugh. At least I do my best to do that. Right. So it's okay. We all are on a journey to get somewhere. We just have to start. And it's
yeah.
much safer to travel. And matter of fact, if you're listening to this or watching this and you played Oregon Trail, right? Nobody here is going to die of dysentery. We want to get there from one point to the other safely, right? And the
No
way we
soldiers
do,
left behind.
right, nobody left behind. So the way we do that is we do it in a group. Now, maybe Oregon Trail was a bad example because nobody ever made it to the end of that game, but you understand what I'm trying to say. We all are a team. We're gonna make it, but we got to stick together. And I'm telling you, 10 heads are better than one in any case. So come through, come join us. Let's figure this out together.
Let's do it. I see Eric's last chat said, yeah, we all need to connect. I'm in government contracting, so data analytics is big right now.
Huge.
And
Yep.
we need to talk about you getting into government contracting from Army perspective. Sounds like money making opportunities to me. So if this conversation did nothing but give you guys a glimpse of how to read your data, I hope this was helpful for you. As you guys decide to either level up in your podcast game or get into podcasting, data analytics isn't going anywhere. And so the fact that Ali dropped in my DMs about a year and some change ago, and I can't remember the conversation, but I got so excited. I was like, another person who talks data. That right there is enough to let y'all know that we're serious about what we're doing here. So thank
Another
y'all for
nerd.
tuning in.
Thank God. Oh, yes, another nerd. I've been waiting forever.
That was literally the conversation. I was like, what? You're also interested? Let's talk about this next week. And from there, we've been doing once a week ever since. So thank y'all for being here. Patrice, Eric, shout out to you guys for joining and starting and tuning into the conversation.
Yep.
We'll do this again. It sounds like we're going to do this again. So we're going to put our heads together and bring another conversation to you guys soon. Any final words, Ali?
Love, peace, and hair grease. Now, yeah, remember, and I say this all the time, but you're better than you were, but you're not half as good as you're going to be. I'm the Oliver Perry. That's the Ariel Young. Yeah, we'll see y'all later.
Yeah, we'll see y'all later. I hate to do this, but I was also I forgot to tell y'all, I'm hosting a challenge. It's a podcast challenge. Well, actually, it's a podcast challenge. And so one thing that I learned after 130 episodes is that I could get to the money, but I now know how to get to the money much quicker. and much better, more strategic. And so if you guys are interested in getting to the money, then sign up to the wait list for my podcast challenge. If you go to my LinkedIn, go click on the bio, there's a link for you to join the wait list for the podcast challenge. And I will give you guys updates on when I actually launch that. So you want to give us our outro one more time, Ali?
Bye, nerds. Hang on.
Peace.